relative to this incident? Wasn't that your goal?
It was my goal to determine the data from the infotainment and telematics modules that were missed in the initial download and create a timeline and consistency of those timestamps.
So your goal was to create a timeline, correct?
Correct.
And that timeline, among other uses, was to be for your colleague, Dr. Judson Welcher, to use that in his analysis, correct?
That is correct.
So you knew not only what your purpose was, but you knew what your work was going to be used for by Dr. Welcher, your colleague, correct?
Well, I knew it was going to be provided, yes.
Well, you knew it was going to be provided. Have you ever talked to Judson Welcher, your colleague, about this case at all?
I have vaguely, yes.
How many times have you talked to him?
I would count a handful of times.
And just give me a general idea of the nature of the discussions between you and Dr. Welcher. You were both working on the same, quote, incident, right?
Sure, yes.
What would have been the nature of those discussions?
So those discussions would have been identifying what I found on the infotainment and telematics modules and discussing, explaining that data to Dr. Welcher.
So did Dr. Welcher ever tell you, your colleague, why he wanted to use that data for his purposes?
For reconstructing a timeline.
And for reconstructing a timeline and picking a time for what you now call a text stream event, correct? You knew that's what he was doing.
Correct, for a timeline, yes.
Right, so you knew that for the 1162.2 text stream event, he was going to use your analysis back in January of 2025 to try to pinpoint that text stream event 1162.2, correct?
That is correct.
You knew that.
Yes.
And you know that he used that data to select a specific range for that text stream 1162.2 text stream event, correct?
I don't know if select would be the right. I understand what you're saying, yes.
What term would you use?
Sure. So based on the data, he's identifying the time approximately when that event would have occurred.
And that text stream event, that 1162.2, is what Aperture is contending is a time of a collision. Is that correct, to your knowledge?
That's sustained on that. Ask it differently, Mr. Ness.
Do you know the purpose of the 1162.2 text stream event in the analysis performed by your firm?
No, Dr. Welcher, I do not.
So you performed your analysis in all these timelines that you talked about on direct without knowing what Dr. Welcher was going to do with that data?
No, so sorry, I misspoke. So it would be to timeline the time and date, or to put a time and date with when that text stream trigger would have occurred.
Exactly.
Right.
So you knew what the purpose was of your work.
Correct.
With regard to Dr. Welcher's work.
Correct.
And isn't Dr. Welcher's work on the 1162.1 and the 1162.2 text stream event an important aspect of the work of Aperture in this case?
Yes, it is.
Did anybody from the Commonwealth ask you in your January 30th, 2025 report to not discuss your work in connection with the text stream 1162.1 and the 1162.2 events?
No.
But you didn't discuss that, meaning the 1162.1 and 1162.2 events, in your first report in January 30th, did you?
That was not part of my report, correct.
But you did delve into that, and pretty heavily, in your May 8th report, correct?
Correct.
And you delved into that pretty heavily in the middle of this trial, correct?
Correct.
So after the trial, do you know the trial started around April 22nd in this case? Generally?
Yes, generally.
So let's do the timeline on this. January 30th, 2025, you prepare your initial report, correct?
Correct.
In that initial report, you mentioned nothing about TechStream event 1162.1, correct?
Correct.
In that report, you mentioned nothing about TechStream event 1162.2, correct?
Correct.
The trial starts April 22nd, correct?
Correct.
Roughly.
Generally.
No, the trial in this case, this trial, about April 22nd, after the trial starts and after witnesses, of course, are appearing, you prepare another report, correct?
Correct.
And that's your May 8th report,
Correct.
right in the middle of this trial.
Correct.
And right in the middle of this trial, you enlarge the number for the 21 to 29 range. That's bigger than what was in your first report, correct?
No, that is not correct.
Well, you changed the number, don't you?
No, I did not change the number.
Well, let's go back to see exactly what you did, sir.
Sure.
Let's start with the basics. You said on direct examination, sir, that you prepared your May 8th report on your own initiative. Those were your words on your direct testimony, correct?
Correct.
I'm going to read the first line of your May 8th, 2025 report.
Okay.
Do you have it in front of you, sir?
I do, yes.
It starts, Dear Mr. Brennan. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Pursuant to your request. That's a request you're referring to of Mr. Brennan, correct?
Correct.
I have completed an additional analysis concerning the above referenced matter. To formulate opinions, the following additional items were reviewed. This wasn't done on your initiative. You put in writing you did it at the request of Mr. Brennan. Which is it?
So that was on my own initiative. This is a holdover, so a copy and paste from my original report.
You're explaining the May 8th report in your language pursuant to your request as a cut and paste from a previous report?
Yes, I am.
Do you cut and paste important information from one report to the other without checking it for accuracy?
I copy and paste certain portions.
Do you ever review what you cut and paste to see if it's accurate?
Yes.
You didn't review it this time, though, did you, sir?
No. I did not think it was significant.
Oh, you don't think it's significant, sir, that the matter is in the middle of a trial and there's a request for a new report after testimony has occurred in that trial? You don't think that's important?
Objection.
Sustained.
Why did you prepare the new report then?
Sure. So there was a claim from a PowerPoint presentation by Mr. DeSogra of trying to adjust clock syncs or making clock adjustments based on the synchronization of certain events. That was produced in March. Upon reviewing that, my initial thoughts were to address that in testimony. But as I was preparing for trial, I made the decision that it needed to be better addressed in a supplemental report.
But you understand that the report that you're referring to, that's the report of Mr. Soger, correct?
It is a presentation of Mr. DeSogra.
It's
correct.
a presentation. You understand his presentation merely was responding to the work that you did, correct?
No, that's not correct.
So your belief is that Mr. DeSoger's report didn't address at all what you had done?
Partially, yes, but no.
Okay, but let's cover the basics. You
Sure.
agree that Mr. DeSogra addressed at least in part, the work that you had done.
He tried to address, yes.
Right. So do you know the date of Mr. DeSogra's report as March 5th? Does that sound right to you?
Yes, that's what I
So
said.
you had Mr. DeSogra's report that you claim was the basis for you on your own in the middle of this trial, creating and submitting a new report. You claim that the basis for that was Mr. DeSogra's report of March 5th of 2025.
That is correct.
You waited 2 months to do that?
Again, my initial thoughts were to address it on
My
testimony.
question, sir, is not your thoughts. Just did you wait 2 months?
Just let him finish the
That's-
answer.
My question, sir, and finish it how you like.
Sure. So
2 months, was it 2 months between March 5th and when you submitted your report on May 8th? Is that 2 months?
yes, it is.
So, did you know when this trial was going to start, sir? Generally?
Yes.
Do you think it's fair to submit a report without anybody asking you in the middle of a trial?
Sustained.
As we've been discussing, you issued a brand new report in this case dated May 8th, 2025, correct?
Correct.
That changed your analysis, correct?
No, it did not change my analysis.
Were there changes to your analysis in it?
There were clarifications.
Clarifications.
Correct.
Let's address that. In your January 30th, 2025 report, you did not mention text stream event at all, did you?
No, I did not.
And you didn't mention collision at all, correct?
No, I did not.
And you mentioned both of those now in your May 8th, 2025 report, correct?
I don't know if I mentioned collision. I'd have to go to my report and look.
But you certainly do mention text stream events, correct?
Yes, that's
and
correct.
And you labeled them 1162.1 and 1162.2, correct?
Correct.
That's a change from your first report, isn't it, sir?
No, it's not a change. It's a supplement.
Oh, so your definition is that when you add something to a report, it's not a change, it's a supplement?
That is what it is, yes.
Who did you speak to regarding the May 8th, 2025 report before you prepared it?
And no one before I prepared it.
So you just prepared it on your own?
I did.
Did you have any communications at all? I asked you who you spoke with, but did you have any communications at all with either Detective Lieutenant Tully or Buchanan?
So I did reach out to Tully to get a full set of the location data, yes.
So you reached out to Detective Tully before you prepared your May 8th report, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Did he tell you that the trial had started in this case?
No, not during that conversation, no.
That's not the first communication you had with Detective Tully, was it?
No, it's not.
How many conversations have you had with Detective Tully?
I would say a handful.
How much is a handful?
I would be speculating, but we'll say 5 to 10.
5 to 10.
Sure.
Is Detective Tully expert at all in digital forensics?
No.
But you've had 5 to 10 conversations with him.
Correct, to get provided information.
At any time, has anybody from the Commonwealth had a discussion with you relative to your January 30th, 2025 report or your May 8th, 2025 report about keeping flexible the timelines for any events in this case?
No, sir.
Did you have any discussions at all regarding the May 8th, 2025 report you prepared in the middle of this trial with anyone from the district attorney's office?
Yes.
When did you have those discussions?
That would have been on, probably May 7th when I reached out to Mr. Brennan.
So you reached out to Mr. Brennan on May 7th, 2025, correct?
Correct.
That's before May 8th of 2025, correct?
Correct.
So before you sent that report in, you had a discussion with Mr. Brennan about it, am I correct?
Correct.
What was that discussion about?
That was just a discussion over the data and what the report said.
So you were discussing with Mr. Brennan what was going to be in your report, including data and analysis, correct?
Correct.
Did you tell Mr. Brennan that you were going to be submitting the report shortly to him on May 8th?
Yes.
Did you agree to a time when you would submit that report?
No, I did not.
Did you tell him when you were going to submit it?
No, I did not.
But after the conversation on May 7th, you discussed with him that you had either pretty close to finalize the report. It's a pretty extensive report, right?
Correct.
So on May 7th, you were pretty well along the way in that report, correct?
Correct.
Did you let Mr. Brennan know that?
Yes.
So he knew the nature of the report. He knew how far along you were with it.
Correct.
Did you have any other calls with anybody from the prosecution's office other than that about your May 8th report?
No, I don't believe so.
Do you have any texts with anybody about your May 8th report?
No.
Did you communicate with anybody else about your upcoming May 8th report?
No, I would have provided a copy to Dr. Welcher.
Your colleague?
Correct.
So Dr. Welcher knew you were working on this report, correct?
He knew I submitted the report. I don't know if he knew I was working on the report.
Did he know you were going to submit the report before you submitted it?
Yes, I'm sorry, yes.
Did he know what was going to be in the report?
Yes, he did.
Did he support the fact that you were going to submit a report in the middle of trial?
I can't speak for Dr. Welcher.
But he knew you were going to do it.
Correct.
Did he say anything, don't do that? Or did he have any comment about the fact you were going to submit it?
Not that I recall off the top of my head.
Not that you recall, so is it possible he did comment on whether you should submit it in the middle of trial?
No, he would not have commented on whether I should have submitted it or not.
How many times in your career, sir, have you submitted a supplemental or amended report in the middle of trial?
This would be the only one that I recall.
So this is the only time. How many years have you been doing this?
Approximately 10 years.
And so approximately 10 years, this is the first time you've submitted a amended supplemental report in the middle of a trial.
A supplemental report, correct.
As you call it, a supplemental report in the middle of trial.
Correct.
Do you know a person by the name of Ian Whiffen?
Yes, I'm familiar with the name.
You say you're familiar with the name. Are you more than familiar with his name? Are you familiar with his work?
I'm familiar with his report in this case, yes.
So you're familiar with his work if you're familiar with his report, correct?
Correct.
Were you given do you know that Mr. Whiffen has testified in this trial?
No, I do not.
And with regard to Mr. Whiffin's report, did you read it?
Yes, I did read his report.
And that would be of interest to you, correct? That's why you read it?
Correct.
Because Mr. Whiffin's report, and are we talking about Mr. Whiffin's January 2025 report or his March 2025 report? Are you aware there's two of them?
No, I'm not.
Do you know which one you're referring to?
That would be the January report.
So the January 2025 report, are you aware that there's just a couple minor differences between the two reports, or you're just not aware of it?
I'm not aware either way.
Assume there's very minor differences with the reports. Mr. Whiffin's reports contain information and some detailed, they're long reports, right?
Yes, they are.
So Mr. Whiffin's report contains information about the cell phone of Mr. O'Keefe, correct?
Correct.
It contains information about the location data in Mr. O'Keefe's phone, correct?
Correct.
It contains information about the phone calls in Mr. O'Keefe's report, correct?
Correct.
It contains information about the temperature of the battery in the iPhone of Mr. O'Keefe, right?
Correct.
It has some timelines in that report, correct?
Correct.
And those timelines have very specific events that are represented in the data from Mr. O'Keefe's cell phone, correct?
Correct.
As a matter of fact, it's got location data and times that you have used in your report and PowerPoint presentation here, correct?
Correct.
When did you receive the report of Mr. Whiffin with regard to the cell phone of Mr. O'Keefe?
So I would have received his report sometime in January.
So 4 months ago, you had the report of Mr. Whiffin with substantial information about the types of databases you can find in the iPhone, location data, health data, phone calls, and a timeline, among other information, correct?
Correct.
You had all that information.
Correct.
And you had GPS location data in that report regarding Mr. O'Keefe's iPhone, correct?
Correct.
Do you know what an SQLite database is?
SQLite? Yes.
SQLite, yeah.
Yes.
And an SQLite database is one of the many databases that are contained within an iPhone, including Mr. O'Keefe's iPhone, correct?
Correct.
And you testified on your direct that you have general knowledge about cell phones, correct?
Correct.
And you say you've got certifications with regard to cell phones, correct?
Correct.
And your certifications include being able to read Celebrite and apply the Celebrite tool, correct?
Correct.
And you have certifications that allow you to apply and utilize magnet forensics, like, for example, their Axiom program, correct?
Correct.
And you've done that in your career. You've applied those tools before this case, correct?
Correct.
And you've applied those tools after your work in this case. You apply them pretty much frequently, correct?
Correct.
So the tools, the databases in an iPhone, and all the location data, etc., that was all information you had and you knew and had FASO with back in January of 2025, correct?
Correct.
And you had access to the SQLite database because you had Mr. Whiffin's report, correct?
Correct. I had the report,
You
yes.
had the report. Do you recall on your direct testimony saying that one of the reasons that you did this supplemental report on May 8th was you got new information or more information about Mr. O'Keefe's cell phone?
Yes, correct.
You had that information through Mr. Whiffin's report back in January of 2025, didn't you, sir?
Correct. I had the report. I did not have the data.
Well, didn't Mr. Whiffin's report discuss location in a pretty detailed manner?
Yes, it did.
And didn't he use GPS location data in that report?
Yes, he did.